So finally, after 2 hours, he stood up and we knew it was now or never. Alright, well, last weekend was Antelope opener in my home county, and Dad and I were pretty pumped up because I've never shot one before. Now, after filling my archery buck tag, Dad was talking to one of his good buddies, Trish, and he had asked us if we sent in for our antelope tags. Now, we were pretty confused because our county hadn't had a season in about 12 years or so. But we looked, and sure as heck there was a season, so we decided to try our luck and send in with no preference points, and somehow we both drew. Now, being in college and everything, I didn't have time to go home every weekend and look for antelope, so I was pretty much relying on Dad and Trish to find me one. They talked to a few landowners, and they said they'd been seeing a few, so we knew there were some in the area. So they pointed me out into the direction that the landowners had been seeing these antelope, and I was headed out the day before opener to look for a target buck. So right away in the morning, I look out into this bean field, and I see a pretty nice buck, and I decided that's the one I was going for. Opening morning rolls around, and we're just getting to the bean field where I saw that goat the morning before, and he was still there, right in the same spot. Now, since it looked like they were already coming our way, Dad and I left the pickup in a pretty big hurry, and we left the camera on accident. So we had the video on the old iPhone. Rookie mistake. And we noticed there was a group of bales, so we were going to try to get to the bales and try to decoy them in. And before we could even get to the bales, Dad told me to get down because he was coming. So he stuck the decoy up, and I couldn't see him, but I was assuming he was still a couple 100 yards away. But I look up and he was 100 yards and closing.
Bat. Right on his chest. You got him, buddy. You got him. Get another one ready. I think he's going down.
He came right into 80 yards and made a perfect shot, and the rest is history. So the following week, Trish ended up killing a really nice buck. He let us know that there was a smaller buck in with this group, but we weren't going to be too picky for Dad because we got an elk hunt coming up next week. So we get to our spot, and they were just standing out in the middle of a bean field again. And we parked the pickup, and it was a hard stock because everything was so flat, and there was a little bit of tall grass, but for the most part it was open bean field.
It's October 3rd, 2024, and we're trying to fill a coveted Tripp County antelope tag. There's not very many of them around, so it's kind of a big deal if you get a tag you kind of want to fill. Anyhow, we have some spotted. Pierce and I could have just rolled down the section line and just got out and shot them, I'm sure of it, but we didn't want to do that. So instead we parked 2 miles back and belly crawled for 40 minutes to get within 375 yards for a pickup to turn down the section line, park, and run them out in the middle of a picked bean field. So, not gonna get upset. We're just gonna regroup and see if we can't get in front of them somehow here. So, we'll keep you up to date and be back to you hopefully with some bloody hands.
Now, they weren't totally spooked. They kind of slowed down further into the bean field, but just sucks they were way out of range. So it just kind of sucks that it didn't work out that time. So we end up sneaking from stack of bales to stack of bales, and there was a big old ridge in this bean field, and it was deep. Like, they were so far into it, and I got on top of this 2 stack of bales, and I still couldn't see the antelope. And finally we just keep moving forward and get on top of one, and finally I could see a doe, and I looked a little closer and I could see the horns of the buck, and he was bedded down. Now, we sat on top of these bales for over 2 hours, and he just bedded down the whole time, and we knew it was only a matter of time until he stood up and it was going to be game over. So after 2 hours, he finally stood up, and we knew it was now or never.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we finally caught up to him. He's a young buck. He's nothing big and fancy. As we talked about a little earlier, there's not a lot of them, and we just had a good morning to chase. It worked.
Just like that, the 2024 antelope season's over, and we're going on an elk hunt next Monday. So hopefully we'll get a big old bull down and have another video for you guys.